I'm an amateur, so I know that. I don't play chess professionally. Hikaru, he was on the way to retirement when he just, he demonstrated his great skills and how good his chess is. But in this tournament, will be tough.
If not Hikaru, who did Garry Kasparov choose as a potential challenger for Magnus Carlsen? His answer might surprise you. We have discussed the candidates, his role in the Queen's Gambit, the Grand Chess Tour, his Masterclass. You will see his incredible mind at work while stalling chess studies.
We just have to make sure. Knight h3 check, we'll go back.
Knight h3.
Yes,
just to give up the knight. Where it came from.
Knight is lost anyway, but we are moving his pawn from g4 to h3.
Thanks so much to Kasparov Chess for sponsoring this video and making this talk possible. I hope that you will enjoy and that you will take advantage of the free stuff, 1 month free on Garry's Masterclass and the rest of the training videos on the Kasparov Chess platform. Stick around to hear more about how you can claim your free access. Hello?
Intellectual backdrop. So, yeah.
Garry, don't tell me it's not real. Don't tell me that's not your collection.
I have to be absolutely honest. I have other backdrops, and typically for political interviews I use something else, but I just made a special change.
But I wanted to start where you're coming from, actually, because you only recently has made it home from Poland, from the Grand Chess Tour. And how did you see the change, the shift that the last day of Blitz has caused in the standings? What did you think of the performances?
I was there on opening and also on the first day. Before I left, I was asked on Grand Chess Tour podcast about my forecast. It doesn't happen often. They asked me to pick up two, and I said, Anand and Duda. Yes! I was really rooting for Vachier. My generation, yeah, technically it's not my 6 years difference, but now we are so old that we are from dinosaur age. And I think he played the tournament of his life. I mean, phenomenal. And we have to give credit to Duda. He made a big push, though I think he was lucky. I mean, the last game with Shevchenko is a great kid. I remember him, playing with me in the simultaneous exhibition in Kiev when I visited Kiev in 2000.
In the summer.
He was one of the rising stars in Ukraine, and I was happy to see him on stage. He made sort of the final decision in this tournament, but it was in favor of Polish organizers because he gave Duda a victory instead of just winning the game. He could have handed it over to Vachier, but they were doing a great job. And also, I think Levon surprisingly, just jumped from almost nowhere.
What did you think of the game against Korobov, if you're mentioning Aronian already? He was up a piece from the opening, wasn't he?
It's Blitz. The Blitz is Blitz, and everything happens there. Speaking about the overall results, so I think MVL was happy. He was not there because, both Anand and Duda, they are wildcards.
Yeah.
So that's why, the fat points have been collected by wildcards, and Levon hasn't managed to take a lead. It was a great event. I think it was important, having some different faces there, and inviting Kirill was a good idea. So just give a little boost to our Ukrainian friends.
Absolutely.
Just as I am curious to see what happens in Zagreb, because then the tournament will be much stronger. Yeah, so we'll have very different wild cards. Actually, Anand Duda there, so that and there will be Magnus.
Magnus will be participating in the third leg of the Grand Chess Tour in Croatia. That's huge.
Magnus will take part in two actual legs of the Grand Chess Tour, in Zagreb and in St. Louis. I'm very happy to see him coming back to our events. It's a series of tournaments. Now it's on a very solid footing. We have our backup in the United States, but we had it for a long time. But most importantly, we have now a very strong sponsor in Europe, and it's a long-term relations. Superbet, the Grand Chess Tour will stay as a very important factor of the professional chess for years to come. FIDE has recognized it by offering us to replace this failed Grand Prix enterprise.
Yeah.
And now will be one of the qualifying events, which will, even add value to our sponsors, because I can tell you that we can expand. The calendar is too tight, so that's why we have to stick with number of tournaments that had been, agreed upon with FIDE and other organizers. As a matter of fact, chess keeps growing, and that's good news. So we have a problem of having potentially too many events and too few players, because they move from one event to another. That's why it's so important to bring more and more young players to create more excitement, and also public wants to see new faces. Though on top, they'll be the same players. But still, we would like to make sure that the competition becomes more and more intriguing and less predictable.
Absolutely, and the Grandchester is doing a great job in that. Now that you mentioned that there also will be a ticket for the qualification from the Grandchester, two tickets actually.
Two qualifying spots, which will make the tournaments more entertaining, exciting. One of the challenges that while we dealt with FIDE was the nature of our events, because we have Rapid and Classic and also Blitz. Took a considerable amount of time to find common ground because FIDE wanted to protect the integrity of classical chess. FIDE wanted to add more emphasis, more value to the classical chess events, and so we agreed that for the years when the Grand Chess Tour serves as the qualifier, so we will be making some changes, shifting the value from Rapid to classical chess event. But at the end of the day, you can't stand on the winds of history. Rapid and Blitz already part of the World Championship match. Not just qualifier, World Championship match.
Yeah, the tiebreakers, exactly.
While we can argue about the value to be attached to the games played in Rapid or Blitz, but we cannot ignore the fact that it's being universally accepted as a tiebreaker.
Do you think it should even have a more significant role? Because it has been what decided the previous World Championship matches. Quite a few of them were decided on the last day of the tiebreaker in favor of Magnus. But do you think now that Rapid and Blitz are gaining more and more significance, it could be a more fusion, a mixed format? Or do you think that it's good the way it is?
Yeah, speaking about World Championship matches, it's not only that Magnus played two tiebreaks against Caruana and Karyakin, but let's not forget, going back, it's Kramnik Topalov and Angelfen.
Yeah.
So we had 4 World Championship matches, in the last, 15 years? So decided by, actually 16 years, yes. Decided by tiebreak. I don't think we ever moved to the Blitz segment, but, it was close. It was really close. There was a chance that it would end up with Blitz. As for the proportion or a balance between classic and other forms of chess. It depends very much on the public appreciation. I always compare classical chess to opera music, classical music, and people enjoy it and they know it should be protected, but it's still a relatively small portion. I don't know, I'm not an expert to tell you whether it's 3, 4%, 5%, but it's definitely very, very small segment of other types of music. Classical chess will not go away because it's still the best way to measure the real strengths of the player, and also it's with all these new technologies, with great commentaries, I think people enjoy it. But there will be more and more Rapid Blitz events because it's fast, entertaining, there are many mistakes. Yeah. Also, it's far more suitable for online chess.
Definitely for online chess. I guess it would be hard to picture classical chess played online that much.
Classical chess, it can survive only with with one-on-one. When you have the element of psychology, it's this. You look at the players, so they come to the board and then they leave. So there's something there. So there's playing a few hours online. I'm sure there's some chess fans that fancy the idea, but for the public,
I fully agree with you on that. And since you mentioned the World Championship tickets and the cycle, the candidates is about to start in a few weeks. A couple of the participants have already competed at the Grand Chess Tour. You have seen them up close and personal. What is your prediction when you take a look at the 8 participants? Who do you see are the favorites for this year's candidates?
The question number 1 is, for me, is whether Dink will make it.
Good question. Yes.
Yeah, so we're now talking about the fact that potentially one of the favorites may not be able to participate. And COVID already ruined Dink's chances to challenge Magnus 2 years ago. He played the event, but it was very clear that his preparation and I think his psychological mood, everything was ruined for him. Will Dink travel to Madrid?
Hopefully, but I'm afraid that it's
hopefully
also...
Hopefully is not an answer. Hopefully the correct answer, as a chess fan, but I don't have the information, so that's why it's very difficult to make predictions. So let's assume he will, which again, for me it's 50-50 chance. So I think he would be my top favorite if he makes it. He has probably the best chance against Magnus.
You think so? What's the reason? Why do you think that?
Look at the games. Okay, he's still ahead, but just recently they played a very tough match. It was online. I think it's a potential problem. Again, still, it's too early to say if he qualifies, if he plays. If I have to pick up 2 more, still Caruana
Mm-hmm.
Very experienced. And Duda.
Duda as well.
Duda, he's fast growing. His advantage is, I think, he definitely can survive under pressure. And he also beat Magnus, don't forget, in World Cup. And the way he came back in Warsaw, that shows that he has this great sense of self-control. And he's a very good player, by the way, and extremely well prepared. We still have Ferrugia, phenomenal talent, a bit too young, 1 point, number 2, number 3 in the world, so that's his rating, so just jumping over 2,800. I think put too much pressure on his shoulders, so his performance in Bucharest was unconvincing. He can surprise us, but I still see very little chance for him actually playing the long 14 rounds and just holding this pressure. Jan is a great player, but I think it's difficult for him to recover from this disaster in Dubai. I can imagine that he still, in his dreams, he still sees the game number 6. Why didn't I take this damn pawn on before?
He will never know the answer to that.
Sometimes final score doesn't show how tough the match was.
Mm-hmm.
It was really tough for Magnus. And game 6, even if it ended in a draw, it could give us a very different match. But just one game, basically, took Jan out of his comfort zone and made him exposed to Magnus. Brutal machine, yes. The rest, I would give less chances to others. But again, it's the tournament where you have, every day you have a very strong opponent. There's no easy day. And every game could play a very important role for your final standing. But again, we should reconvene after we know
whether Dink participates.
If Dink participates in the tournament.
Hopefully there will be good news soon. As you said, so far it's 50-50. It's a bit of a question, but he deserves to be there.
Chess needs him there because we want to see, this is the best players and candidates. It's a candidate tournament and the winner challenges Magnus. And we want a real show. And
then I'm curious to see if your prediction will come true. Of course, here on Twitch, a lot of the viewers will be rooting for Hikaru. He's a superstar here. Do you think it's possible to combine streaming?
I have to apologize for not, giving him, very high chances. We are good friends, I have enormous respect for his activities online promoting the game. I'm an amateur, so I know that. I don't play chess professionally. Hikaru, he demonstrated his great skills, how good his chess is, but in this tournament, it will be tough. Still, he can beat anybody. This is the beauty of the tournament, that it's almost anybody can beat anybody. So that's why, you have quite fairly even field, which, creates more potential surprises. And more potential surprises mean for us, for public, it's more excitement and entertainment.
Will you be following the event closely as a fan of the game?
Chess events, so I will not be there physically, but you don't have to be.
Very true. Speaking of top class chess, but also from a different world, the world of fiction, Netflix's Queen's Gambit was a huge success, and we know that you played a very important role in making the series happen. How difficult it is to make a fictional character's chess career credible. Can you please tell us a bit of an insight on how it was to work on the Queen's Gambit?
While I played an important role working closely with Scott Frank, who's a very good friend of mine, I have to give most of the credit to Walter Tevis, the author, because it's about the book. You need a script, and the script that Scott put together was based almost entirely on Walter Tevis' book. It's one of the great American authors that not fully recognized for his contribution, not only for the game of chess, but for some of the great Hollywood successes. He had 6 novels, and 4 of them, became big hits. It's the first one, A Hustler, and also the Hustler sequel, Color of Money. So both featured Paul Newman in 1961 and in 1986, and also The Man Who Fell on Earth, 1963 novel that was put on screen on 1976. And another one is the great novel Mockingbird that was never put on the screen, but had, there's so many ideas from there that have been vandalized by other producers. Walter Tevis had 2 big passions: pool, billiard, and also chess. Yeah.
I didn't know about pool.
That's why he's not pool, but that's why he wrote, Hustler and Color of Money in the second half of his life, and he died quite early at age 56. So he played chess as, I don't know exact level. So I asked Bruce Pandolfini, who worked with him as a young chess advisor. But I would say, maybe 1600, 1700 player. So he knew a lot about the game of chess. That's why, he puts so much chess inside of the book. I suggest, strongly suggest that, those who are interested in the series will read the book. It's a great book. He's in a knowledge of the game and his willingness to put more and more details, which again was very helpful, of overall picture, created a challenge that, I had to meet, and that's Scott knew it, because when you have player of that strength trying to explain in details, let me say, they move, the bishop goes there, the double pawns, the attacks, the games played at the highest level, the World Championship match, you might have a problem. You might have a problem. And Scott wanted chess of the highest level. He wanted to make sure that people will grasp the energy of the game, the spirit, the suspense, and he did a great job. But I had to come up with, with some suggestions, and also to secure the integrity of the game. The chess has been used extensively in Hollywood movies. It's a great, misunderstanding, that's chess. Okay, it's this chess was not, treated well by Hollywood. No, absolutely. I mean, it's just, you can hardly name one actor, big actor, who never played chess. Even John Wayne played chess in McClintock. And of course, Humphrey Bogart, Casablanca, and of course, love scene Steve McQueen in the first Thomas Crown Affair. So many movies. Harry Potter, you had this, and you had, the Star Trek. So everybody plays chess there. Chess has been used as a symbol, of intellect of a character. But so many times, positions at board, they were, let's say, not up to the intellect of a character. When you look at many of these, of the moments where chess is briefly shown, often you see that the board is located incorrectly with 90 degrees mistakes. A1 square being white. Statistically, it should be probably 50-50. For some mysterious reasons that I never understood, it's 4-1 on the wrong side.
Why do you think they don't care?
I was looking for explanations, trying to understand, what they, maybe it's something about the light, but somehow it's one of the best examples of the good chess is Casablanca, Humphrey Bogart. Is I actually tried to look, just at the position as much as I could.
Did you manage? Did you freeze the screen?
I believe it was a very popular line of French defense. That was what was very topical in the beginning of the 40s. And Humphrey Bogart was a club player, so that's why he definitely put the position there. So that's what I believe. The French was knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, bishop e7, e5, knight d7, take, f4, c5, knight b5. I think the sacrifice. That's what I think is there. I had to deal with my own challenges. I talked to Bruce Pandolfini. I said, look, you do all chess she played in orphanage, and I will do all the key games. The process was algorithm I worked out. So I asked my associate to come up with anything that could resemble, because Tevis came up with idea. Okay, said now please find games that might fit. So and one by one, we came up with games that were as close, preserving the narrative of the game. But the biggest challenge was the last game.
So what was it like to create that last game?
The last game, he described it, just in so many details.
Yeah.
Now, I just looked at the game and I said, okay, now I have to, this is the big challenge. Yeah. By the way, there were some really good games. Games played with Luchenka. Judith loved it because that's a computer sacrifice. Because I looked at the professional games and then machine added elements. The Rook H7 sacrifice there was found by.
It was brilliant.
Phenomenal. But the last game he talked about Albin's Gambit. How on earth you can just, no, I don't care about playing out, but the idea is the game had to be adjourned. No, because the whole idea, the game had to be adjourned.
Yeah.
And it should be adjourned in a complicated position that would give, just again, this would leave suspense and would give chance for Benny and an American team to help Beth to find idea that Russian team will miss.
Yeah.
So how can but you need something by move 35 or 40, which is still, it's okay, it's uncertain. Albin Gambit, by move 20, it's just, pieces out of the board and it will be too simple. Also, he was very specific about, rook goes there, pawn attack rooks,
So how did you do it? This sounds like a mission impossible.
I had a collection of the games, so that's why I just looked. And I said, okay, first of all, I would like to do, because the easiest way you do King's Indian, something closed. You can play some big games like, find some openings that could lead slow motion openings. Where the positions are closed and we can keep pieces of board. But the problem is it's Queen's Gambit. You have to play Queen's Gambit, so this is just and then I was thinking process. I thought about certain lines in the Queen's Gambit, and I said, okay, what about Queen's Gambit accepted? And then after third e4, you can play either knight f6 or knight c6, and then the game becomes positional. So it's nice. So one way. So I had several games with knight f6 and knight c6. I mean, exactly, not e5, not c5. You need just position that is being the center could be relatively close. By move 35, we could say, oh, now we could say adjournment. It's close, and then machine came in because I just found this line with knight e6 and that's exactly what. We follow the line. The rook goes on the far, on the far side of the board, and then b3. Okay, it's not that perfect, but it could be easily overlooked. So I was extremely proud by the fact that I saved the integrity of Walter Tevis' ideas, and it was a real game. So and I remember when the series was released. So I got a call from Patrick saying, Garry, congratulations. How on earth did you find my game? It was really a big success. So though I have to say that there were a couple of mistakes if you look at the demonstration boards.
Oh.
Somehow
by the actors.
They just shifted the one line, instead of queen and bishop standing on d3 e3, they moved to c3 d3. It happens. It just
So it was well prepared, but not well executed on the scene.
This
happens.
Mistakes. There were a few moments here and there, but it created what people what actually shocked people because it was so natural. One of the questions, a very popular question that I've been still asked, is but what about this fantasy? That's when Bess is looking at the ceiling on the side, and I said no. This is not a fantasy. That's what happens. That's the way many top players thinking, because they don't need to look at the chessboard. They can look around. So it's about clearing your mind, and of course you can use Hollywood technique and just make there's all these great images. But it's just that's created a very, very strong impression. It ended up with with the creation of the great series, and also the most televised game in history. In 1987, in Sevilla, game 24 against Karpov, because it was on live on Spanish TV. I played the most televised game up to now. Of course, now it's the second most televised game, and I'm very proud that I was part of both games.
It's quite an achievement, and now that we know the story behind how difficult it was to create that game, it's huge that you managed, and it was so authentic. As you mentioned, Hollywood loves chess, but they don't always care about making it that credible and true to the game.
But also we should say it's the selection of the actors. It's Annie, and then accidentally that he picked up the great Borgov. It's a well-known story that. His first offer was to me was to play Borgov. So
what did you think of that offer that they wanted you to act?
Okay, they tried to make this offer as sweet as possible. Because I turned it down. I said, look, it's just I cannot spend 3 months of my life just sitting there. So I turned the offer. So they said, okay, because it was a lunch where I met Scott, Bill, his producer, and Bruce Pandolfini in New York in the restaurant. So they suggested that my wife Dasha also would play a role, because as a Borgov's wife, there's a room for her there. It was very sweet, but we turned it down. And then they said we can make it a final offer. The scene in the zoo in Mexico. Borgovs have 2 kids, and you have 2 kids. We can bring kids.
They wanted your entire family in the scene.
You know what is this? I'll pass. And then I ended up as a consultant, and I think it was far more productive role. And Marcin Turczynski, the Polish actor, he played impeccable Borgov, and he spent hours and hours watching me playing. So that's just to make sure that his presence would resemble the great Soviet champion.
He definitely did a good job trying to mimic your body language and that kind of confidence and power. Speaking of the series that you didn't end up acting, but you did spend that time working on your masterclass, from what I have heard. So you already had a masterclass on the platform masterclass.com, but then you made your own version of it for the Kasparov chess platform. Can you tell us the difference? What's new in your latest?
They actually very different. I don't do canned speeches.
Of course.
I always try to bring a new element to any production. Masterclass.com series. That's what you expect Masterclass to be. It's more like you move here, you move there. So it's Kasparov teaching chess, which was, by the way, also quite challenging because they had no idea how to calibrate the lessons. Just look, what do you mean? Oh, Mr. Kasparov, you can do the same stories. We had some great actors. We have a great chef. We have a great architect. We have a great writer. And they do these kind of lessons. So yes, but we need to understand who the hell the audience is.
Mm-hmm. That's the first question. Who is the target?
I don't want to talk to waste my time to total beginners. Look, it's anybody can do it. So I said, look, I will try to measure my performance by the category from, let's say, from 1300 to roughly say 1700. So that's I'll make sure that that this audience, people who already know how to play chess, will get the best out of it. Also, there will be some elements for stronger players. So there are a couple of lessons there that could entertain even players way over 2000. So the core audience was 13 to 1700, and I tried to make it as entertaining, adding few elements about just my life philosophy, but it was based on chess. It's very, very chessy. What I did for KasparovChess.com, it's different because it's personal. You still can learn chess, but you do it through my eyes. It's about my games, it's personal story. This one is not a limit to an audience. It's like general introduction to the world of chess, to understand the beauty of the game. If you, for some reasons, bought the first one, doesn't mean that you can live without the second one.
Last year, you joined Hikaru for solving a few studies together. Would you be down to do the same today, or shall I not bother you with that?
Okay. I can try to.
Can we try one or two? You
wake up my brains.
Sure. To the viewers who may not have seen that, Garry joined last year Hikaru on his stream, and you have gone through some incredible studies that you haven't seen for years or you have not seen at all. And I just found it incredible how your mind works. Even if you're not competing anymore, it feels like your mind, when it comes to tactical calculations, is just as sharp when you used to be active.
These days, I said, I'm an amateur.
An amateur is a very strong word for a genius.
I'm the strongest amateur on the planet, but I'm not professional.
Let me see if you recognize any of these ones.
That's what I solved when I was a kid.
Too easy. What does it take to solve it?
So technically, material is drawish. So bishop and knight cannot beat a single knight. That's not enough. Yeah. So, but the black has one problem, as you can see. The knight is in the corner. But to make things worse, it's not just knight in the corner. I mean, this knight is paralyzed. And that's why white makes sure that the knight doesn't leave. Now we just have to consolidate our pieces because black's only chance is to bring its king, queenside, and rescue the knight. We have to coordinate our pieces. Our knight is too far away, so we bring knight in the center.
Knight in the center, knight d5?
Knight d5, yes. So king is running. So now we just have to use the bishop also to cut, because he wants to attack our knight. So we just have to make sure that, that's the bishop, bishop prevents king, bishop d8. So king is cut. Now the king has to go. We cannot win the game without having a king. So now our king should come.
Third f2?
F2, yes. Yes. Now we go back with the bishop. There's not much choice. And now he's trying to save this. He's saving that. Yes, king d3. Now we our king d6, king d4, and now he's almost saved. Yeah, but the moment he saved the knight, we go bishop b4, and it's bishop b4, and it's a checkmate.
It's beautiful.
I like these little studies because they show the chess geometry and they show how it works. Many players, the beginners, they look for many pieces, sacrifices. But the geometry of the endgame could be also beautiful. It's very, very simple, straightforward. You have many more studies, far more complicated. But they said the same idea. So this is domination. When it seems that we're almost out, knight c7, the knight escaped. Bishop before mate, checkmate. Mate with very few pieces left, and all white pieces they are just being engaged, and also all black pieces are also just participating. If you go one move forward, so. Yes, knight on a8. This is the position that is, unless I'm wrong, it's a mutual Zugzwang. Because now imagine if it's a white's move. Now
Yeah.
white has to destroy its ideal configuration.
Yeah, you got a great point about that.
Yeah, because if bishop goes on d8, then knight escapes on c7. So and there's no mate. Yeah, and if our king goes on e4, yes, then there's just king goes on e4. Then king goes on c5, and then just and then king b5. He basically saves the knight from the corner. Seems that we reached the position of mutual Zugzwang, which makes this tiny little study even more beautiful.
Do you know how young you were when you solved this first?
I don't know. That's too straightforward.
Carl, let me choose another one that will have
That's one I know.
more complexity. This one.
That's too easy. That's also.
It's supposedly expert level.
Probably I was there, 7 or 8. So to beginners in the audience, knight takes c7, knight takes c7, and knight takes c7, and now rook a8 check, because king takes c7 is a stalemate. So you just have to, and then king c8 stalemate. Yeah, rook c8, rook. We have to sacrifice the rook.
And here.
King c8. Knight c6, king c7, and then we take the pawn on b6, and then the rest is too easy.
I need to find one that wouldn't be this easy for you, because obviously your mind works on a different level as mine. Do you know that Maxime Vachier-Lagrave has a study on your platform?
I remember this.
Do you know this one?
I've been solving it ages ago, but I forgot already how to solve it. This one is fairly complicated. You have to find the right way actually to put a knight either on d2, b3, or you put it on a3, c2.
Oh, so that's the first question.
Yes, that becomes a key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about moves like a6? Does it also count, of course, if there's like a potential in-between move? Or you think that's a move that's not useful in this position? How do you work that out?
You don't know. You can definitely go knight a3. So with this, it will end up with with us cutting the knight, but his king is advancing, and then even with having extra bishop, we may have some. Yeah, it will be a long story.
So you're already picturing the position where the king starts to be
I'm thinking because
running.
It will be. I think we'll win this knight, but his king could be very dangerous advance of the king. I could see the position where now just our king will be on a1, our bishop will be locked by our pawns. Something tells me that we're dealing with a mutual Zugzwang here. I think the right move here is king e1.
King e1, so not the more logical looking king d1 going toward the knight. It has to be king e1.
Now look, this is if you put king on d1, then we go knight b3, knight c2, a1. So we basically have the position with knight goes to a1, and then we have to make a move, because our king cannot move on d2 or c1 because knight b3 and he wins the pawn. So we will have to actually we have to do something. That's too we have to give him space. So while if you go king e1 here, then he goes knight b3, king e1. I think that's the right move.
Sure.
I could see king e1, knight b3, knight c2, a1, knight a1, knight a1, and now we go king d1, and that's again mutual Zugzwang. Yeah, we go a6 now. We have to go a6. King c2, but that's yeah. We go king b2. That will be draw, because I think he cannot. We should take on c6. Should take on c6. He wins this pawn, but it's just our king stays there, and he cannot escape with the king. So it will be a draw. King b3, king whatever. King. It's the king a3. It doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's just I don't think it's just.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't have the other move input.
Yeah, it doesn't matter,
it's
because
the same.
we're still standing there. So. So the key was for us to understand that there's a mutual Zugzwang.
That is incredible how quickly you have noticed about the mutual Zugzwang, and that it's sometimes a draw study.
What helps that is just we had a mutual Zugzwang discussion 5 minutes ago.
Just a position ago. Do you want to do one last one?
Let's do the one that I like this. This is this.
I think this is the Timman one.
There's more. It's more romantic, this one.
Yeah.
So our knight is hanging. First of all, let's check if we have anything but knight g1. So the straightforward line doesn't work. That bothers me.
So what's wrong with knight g1? What is it that you immediately notice that it
that
cannot?
There's no other moves. I mean, I see that. I see no other moves. Knight g1.
Oh, you're saying that that's the only move.
Yeah, that's the only move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after king takes f2.
Okay, let's do king takes f2.
Yeah.
Okay, that's easy. If we simply go king f4, I don't know this. If show the wrong line, king f4.
So I'll make a mistake on purpose. King
Yeah,
F4.
we make a mistake.
Okay,
Make a
all
mistake.
right.
King takes G1. King takes G1. We explain the idea.
Yeah.
King takes G1.
Yeah, it might not let me make the move. I can draw the arrow.
Because king takes G1, king G3, king goes on H1, bishop goes on D4, G1, bishop G1, king G1, and we have position with our king on G4, G3, and pawn on H2, and his king is on G1 and pawn on G4. And we take on G4, he takes on H2.
And that's two kings off on
That's
the
why
board.
all we need to do is to make sure that his pawn is on different locations. So instead of king F4, we just have to make sure. Knight H3 check, we'll go back.
Knight H3.
Yes,
Just to
exactly.
give up the knight. Where it came from.
Knight is lost anyway, but we are moving his pawn from G4 to H3. Because
Wow.
now king F4, G1, bishop D4 check, king E2, king F1, bishop takes G1, king takes G1, king G3, and now the pawn is not on G4 but on H3, and now we what? We take the pawn. King G3.
Wow. So the knight that was hanging on H3, you then need to go back to that same square to get black's pawn onto H3.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Have you yourself composed studies? Do you enjoy not just solving but thinking about positions that could be very interesting?
I know the limits of my ignorance.
This has been incredible to witness how your mind works. I truly appreciate that you have let us know about all the insights about the Queen's Gambit, about the Masterclass, and also your prediction on the candidates. Let's see if it's gonna be the same way that you mentioned.
Yeah. We have to see if Ding makes it too.
According to your predictions, he would be one of the favorites.
You know, being favorite is always very challenging because you're favorite, and everybody looks at you as a favorite. So I have certain experience of being a favorite. So that's why we'll see if Dink makes it there, and if he can actually handle the pressure of being favorite, even one of the top favorites. We know that Caruana and Duda may have their own opinions, and even it's just Jan, Hikaru, and Ferrugia, and we'll still no offense meant to report and Rajabov, but again, we'll see great fight, mucha lucha. Mucha lucha in Madrid.
Mucha lucha, sí, así será en Madrid. Thank you so much for joining us today, Garry. This has been incredible, the insights. And I will be talking more about the Kasparov chess platform now after the call. And also, I'm hoping that a lot of the viewers will want to get your masterclass now that they know what's inside.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Garry.
Bye-bye.
Bye. We're gonna now take a look in detail on what else can you get, what other lessons can you take on the Kasparov chess platform to get Garry's masterclass for free. If it wasn't enough, there's over 1,200 training videos, and this library is growing. Over 54,000 puzzles, 38 improvement programs, which is growing too, now it's 40 and above. Not just the quantity is there, but the quality. This is the highest production of chess courses you will ever see. Video lessons are also linked to puzzles and exercises so that you can immediately practice what you have learned from the coach. The top chess players in the world, Anish Giri, Levon Aronian, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, they all have videos recorded for all sorts of different levels. It's broken down to a very methodological, a very systematic approach, which I think is needed if you want to learn in an efficient way and not just grab lessons or streams. I know many of you say that you're learning from my streams, from Levi's, from Hikaru's. Of course, we are trying to help you guys get better at chess on streams too, but it's not the same to have a well thought out and a well structured program, a course that gets you what you need in the shortest amount of time possible. How incredible it is to learn about some of the greatest games from the person himself who played them. Not just to see the moves and not just to see the analysis, but to understand the personal story behind it, the psychological side of the battle with Karpov, what it was like to be there in that crucial moment of game 24. All that you will get as part of your learning journey from the man himself. And this is just one of the courses. This is where the magic happens. This is where you cash in on your free stuff. If you want to get Garry's masterclass and all the nearly 900 video trainings with puzzles, exercises in each, recorded by some of the top grandmasters and top instructors in the world in the highest of quality. If you want to get all that for free, honestly, I don't know what else can I say if you're not grabbing my hand right now to take it. You just need to use promo code Anna. Free stuff is good stuff. If you consider to continue your membership, then you need to decide, do you prefer the monthly, which by the way is 13.99 euros a month. Very cheap for what you are getting from it. And on top of that, you are getting Kasparov's How Life Imitates Chess book with his signature. Now Garry doesn't know, but you guys and me, we have access to all this for free, and he will be flying to Paris in a few weeks to start signing the books. He might have to be signing hundreds of books. Make him have to sign a lot of books. The coaches, the instructors that you get on Kasparov Chess are the best of the best. Super grandmasters, top instructors, and friends of mine. I didn't know that was a requirement. I'm just saying I think they chose the right people. I think they chose the right people. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please remember that if you have seen this before the end of November 2022, you have access to 1 full month for free on the Kasparov Chess platform with hundreds of training videos by the best instructors delivered to you for absolutely nothing. Free stuff is good stuff. Claim it with the promo code Anna, and I shall see you in the next video.